truth is stranger than fiction. And I think everybody here should be pretty comfortable with that.
To sum up what happened, what I call the event, I then tried to regain strength as much as I could, because I knew I had to get out of this area, because it was going to get dark. When this happened, it was 2:55 in the afternoon on an October day. It gets fairly dark fast in Seattle. I didn't know if I could move 100 feet, yet an hour back to my car. And I walked back to my pack, and I drank some water, and I sat there trying to calm down, trying to keep from getting sick, moment by moment. Every step of the way, I kept saying, one small step. I can do this. One small step. And then I remembered I had my camera. And what you saw is what I took. And I didn't know if any of it would come out. But it did, and I'm glad it did. And if I was insane about what I was seeing, then now so are all of you. And I took the pictures, and I calmed down, and then I thought about, what do I do with this thing that I killed? That I didn't know what it was. And I thought about hiding it from the world, because I felt that I had done a terrible thing on one hand, because I'm not a violent person. But then I thought about preserving it, maybe bringing somebody back to help me. I thought about dragging it over and burying it so that animals wouldn't get it. Well, I didn't have a shovel. I had a knife. And the terrain in this area was extremely rocky and hard. I thought maybe I could take the thermal blanket that I had in my pack and cover it up and cover it with stones or branches to at least keep it away from some of the animals in the area. So I got the thermal blanket out and I laid it on the ground and I pushed this thing into the blanket. And then I wrapped it up and I started to drag it with the straps from my pack over to the hillside. And when I did that, I realized it was very, very light. So light I could hardly believe it. And I thought, there's no place to put it here. I'll find a place. And I'll start dragging it back down the hill. And I started to walk, dragging this thing with me. And I never found a place to put it until I got back to where my Jeep was. And I walked over to my Jeep and I threw it back in the back end of my Jeep and I closed the door. And I got in my Jeep and I sat in the driver's seat and looked over where my dog sat. And thought, this can't be happening. This is not part of my life. My world. It had to be something else. This never happened. This was an illusion. Then I looked in the rearview mirror and I could see what was wrapped up in the thermal blanket. And I knew then that I had witnessed something a little strange. And I drove home. And I stopped at a ranger station to get help. There was no one there. I don't know if it was late in the season or if he was out to McDonald's, but he wasn't there. At that point, I got home. I drove in my driveway. I sat there for some time thinking, what am I going to do? Are they going to put me in jail for killing someone? Because I had no idea what it was. And my mind was not very rational at the time. I went in the house. I tried to calm down. I tried to call my girlfriend. I left messages. They weren't home. I called my best friend, Gary. Left a message for him. He wasn't home. Please call me. I need some help. And I sat in my house, pacing and being sick and trying to calm down and trying to clean myself up for hours until I had to go back out and look again. And I dragged this thing back into my house because I was sure that what I had inside that blanket was my dog, that my mind had somehow made this illusion. And I took it out of the freezer in my garage. I opened it up, and it wasn't my dog. And I took it inside my house, and I grabbed the video camera from the pack, and I photographed it. And we have that video, and we can play that now. As you can see, I'm not really the professional videographer here. The big burrito. Five feet. Actually, it's 20 feet, but I think you're talking about what's exposed.